In a world defined by algorithms, innovations, and increased connection, we often overlook the most powerful technology of all is our authentic selves. I want to congratulate the 10th anniversary Women in Tech. Congratulations for the dedication and the innovation of what you're doing. You're only at the beginning of what I know is going to be a dynamic impact on the world. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm Dr. Norma Hollis, and I am known as the godmother of authenticity because I researched authenticity for several decades to understand more about human nature, understand myself actually is what I was attempting to do. But in the process, I learned a lot about what it means to be authentic. And what I focus on now is what I call disruptive authenticity, because it's time to shake things up and create the kind of world that we can that allows us to be admired by our children and the people that follow us. It's not easy though, because particularly in your generation, those of you that are in technology, you are at a time where I call it a pressure cooker because things are moving so fast and you have to deal with change, and change is happening everywhere all the time, faster and faster and faster. Competition has got considerably harder. There's far more people on the world and so much more to have done. The competition is getting more competitive, bottom line. And then the requirement to conform. I used to own a speaker bureau. I was the first Black woman to own a speaker bureau for Black speakers. And in the process, I met a lot of people who came to me after 10 or 20 or 30 years in the workforce and asked me, Norma, can you help me find myself? They would say, I've been in the workforce for 10 or 20 or 30 or sometimes even 40 years, and I've lost myself. I had to be who they wanted me to be rather than who I feel that I really am. And now I don't know who I am. Maybe that's happening to some of you. What I've realized in my work with individuals and with authenticity is that people choose a career path for one of two reasons. One is you love it. So there are some of you here who just love technology. You were born into it. You watched it every day. You have learned to develop it. You are developing it now. You're managing it. You play an integral role and you love it. And there are others of you that are in for it for what you perceive as the money. Maybe your parents told you, as my parents did, they saw something coming up in the horizon. In my lifetime, my generation, it was computers are coming, so go into computers. And in yours, it's technology is here, it's coming, AI is coming, and that's where the money's going to be, and that's where you should go. And some of you made that decision. You may regret it now because maybe that's not where your gifts and talents lie. I remember when I was speaking, actually, it was in Long Beach at a university about maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I had a young man come to me after my presentation and he said, Miss Hollis, can you help me? Going to graduate in a few months and I'm in accounting and I hate accounting. But my parents said that they wouldn't pay for my degree unless I went into accounting. But I really wanted to be a musician. So we talked a little while, and I ended up advising him to, since he's got the degree in accounting and it's paid for and he can go forward, go ahead and be an accountant, but or something similar, but look for a job in the music industry. At least you have that connection, and maybe he'll transition later. One thing I have learned about all of us is that the things you do in the early parts of your career have a bearing and can leverage your career longer, much in decades or longer after you have finished that first career. I've had three careers, for example, and they all blend together with what I do now. And you don't know where you're going because, again, change is happening very fast. You're adjusting to it as quickly as you can and as often as you can. And for you young people, as I see you, you adjust pretty quickly. And it's going to keep going faster and faster and faster and faster. And you're not going to be allowed to be vulnerable. You're not going to be allowed to be yourself. And you're going to have that great competition. So, how do you do this in an environment where it is so challenging? What do I mean by being disruptive? Well, First of all, my definition of authenticity for many, many years has been and still is being your true self, being the person you were born to be, not some fake and not with a mask on, not trying to be something that you're not, but really connecting with who you are and being that. To me, that's what true authenticity is. And when those clients came to me after 10, 20, 30 years in the workforce and said that they had lost themselves, I realized how powerful authenticity is and how important it is in someone's life to be authentic. Research now even says that being authentic is one of the number one stress relievers. I mean, imagine if you're just being yourself, aren't you going to be a lot happier? Aren't you going to be a lot content and more fulfilled? That's the evidence, the benefit of being authentic. Can you be authentic in your current role in the tech? How can you do that? How can you make sure that you stay on the moral ground and whatever you do in technology is something that your children can be proud of when they understand it a few decades from now? Have you given that some thought? Because there are so many challenges within technology that the moral element picks in quite a bit. The foundation of how you can impact that, disrupt it in a sense, is to connect more with your authentic self and be more authentic in the things that you do, the things that you say, and as you approach technology with your heart. We are the women, we are the nurturers, we bring children into the world, we bring life. We talk to our children about having values and about taking the moral ground themselves. So, how are you taking the moral ground? How are you stepping into yourself and your authenticity and not losing yourself and part of the elements that make you that technological machine that you and your body are? Like integrity, for example. What values does your company hold, whether it's the one you created or the one you work with? What are their values and how do they align to your values? Are they compatible? If they're not, you've got some challenges. You're going to be one of those that comes back 20 years later and says, I've lost myself. How are you making sure you are finding yourself and staying within yourself and allowing your natural self to positively impact the environment that you're in? That's what I see as our responsibility as women. There's something different about us and men, right? And you are in pretty much, I guess, a male-dominant environment where certain expectations are expected, like competition all the time. Do it faster, do it more, make more. How are you tweaking yourself so that you can handle that so it doesn't cause you to get into stress zone? Those are very important things to do and to know, and you knew that by getting to know yourself more and more and more. Now, to do that is not always easy. When you say be authentic, people sometimes say, oh, just be authentic. Like you can wake up tomorrow and you're in authenticity zone. It doesn't work that way. It takes some time. It takes getting to know yourself, removing layers of yourself over time to get to really your essence, the core of who you are. And again, it starts with small steps. Like, what are your inspirations? When you get to the point that you might get frustrated and you feel you have to stay longer, you have to do things you don't want to do, what inspires you to go forward? What would inspire you to be more innovative? You know, most things that have happened innovatively don't happen in that square box that most of us live in. They happen outside of the box. That again is what disruptive is. Go outside of the box to learn more and to do more and to give more. It makes a big difference. Again, start small. Starting small means listening to yourself, listening to what you say to yourself, listening to how you answer yourself, listening to how much you respect yourself and how it shows up within yourself as you express yourself in the world. So, if you want to get closer to yourself to understand that, I'm going to give you a tip. It's easy to do, and it has to do with having more awareness of how you talk to you. Everyone talks to themselves every day. Some people in the tech world don't quite get that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But whether you do or don't, I'm going to give you a tip that's going to help it be stronger for you if you already have that skill. and help you connect more to it if you're not quite sure how to do that. So consider the three questions that you ask yourself every day. We all do. When we wake up, we often ask, what time is it? We often ask that many times in a day. How do you answer yourself? Start to examine that. You also ask yourself, what am I going to wear? How does the answer come? Does it come as a memory of something that you've had before, or how you want to feel, or how you want to make other people feel when they see you? Where is it coming from? And then when you ask yourself, what am I going to eat? How does the answer come? You'll note that the answer for all three of those questions generally comes from one of your six senses. You see it, you feel it, you smell it, you touch it, you taste it, you hear it, you get it in your gut. How does it come for you? How it comes for you has a big impact on how your voice speaks to you and the foundation of your authenticity. So if that resonates with you and you want to go deeper and you have curiosity about it, I invite you to take my complimentary authenticity assessment. It's just 9 simple questions that will help you reflect on yourself a little bit. And when you get your scores, it'll help you understand a little bit more about your level of authenticity and maybe where you may be vulnerable and maybe where you may be stronger. Now, if this resonates you to the point that you realize that you're missing something by not being more authentic, and maybe you have something nudging you from the inside saying, you're not exactly on the right path. You need to be on a better path, a more fulfilling path, a more meaningful path. You may need a mentor. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. You can go to meetwithnorma.com and answer the questions for Discovery Call, and we can talk. In any event, what's important for you, from my perspective and my recommendation to you, is step into who you truly are. Don't be so caught in the rapidity of the work that you do and how fast society is moving. Take time for yourself. You will understand that more when you get past 50 or 60. You will really understand it, and you will recognize what you've done in the early years to use as leverage for where you're going in the future. But just stay in tune with you so you're clear with who you are. That builds more confidence as well. And it takes you on a journey for your authentic self. And then you know what to disrupt, because it's so important that we as women keep the heart in technology. I'm Dr. Norma Hollis. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. I do hope you have a fabulous conference, and I look forward to seeing you in your future, and I hope you go to the next 20 years. Blessings to all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to share.